Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Age of X-Man NextGen, issue number 1. You know, I wasn't a huge fan of these Age of X-Man books. They all seem to be completely pointless and whatnot. However, I guess I should have known. I feel like a dumbass right now. I guess I should have known Ed Brisson's name attached to this. It was probably going to be pretty good. But I decided to go digital. I'm going to keep it digital for now. Like, this is probably something that where if the next story is pretty good, whatever, I might wind up going not just digital. What do you call it? The trade paperback on this one, because this was actually surprisingly good. I mean, really, like out of left field. What the frick is this? Really good. So let's get started on this, guys. We got Ed Brisson on writing. I may have spoiled that. Marcus Toe on art. Haven't seen him in a little while. Glad to see you back, brother. Jason Keith on colors. VC's Clayton Cowles letters. Chris Bachalo does a cover, and we got a bunch of variant covers, which I'm just not going to get into all these variant covers because come on. Oh, and recap art by Raza. I almost missed that one. And of course, the original X-Men were created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So this mostly seems to focus around Glob, which is yeah, I guess these guys know how to make a good X-Men comic. I mean, like, for the most part, who doesn't like Glob? And it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, no, I can't stand him, I hate him. I don't know anybody who hates Glob. He's just, it's not about his powers. It's about him as a human mutant, I know. But you get what I'm saying, right? And he's just he's so depressed in this. He's so sad. All of the mutants, well, everybody's a mutant now. And we're finding out that Hope Summers did some kind of a sacrifice so that everybody could wind up having powers. Everybody could be a mutant in some way, shape, or form or another. Now, all of the X-Men, all of the mutants are placed into different schools within the school, Angel's School, where they'll be in like agriculture or whatever, like civil management, anything like that. So it's cool. There's like 4 main branches. Anyway, it's very dictatorial, dictatorial. Shut up, all right? It's very rigid. All right, everything is laid out for you. It's planned, and you just have to follow along with the plan. There's very little room for imagination. In fact, one of the things that everybody's most excited over is seeing fires. Now, there was a fire in a previous issue of one of these Age of X-Men books, and I'm wondering if these fires are going to be really important to the story, because it just seems kind of weird. And I did make fun of the idea. It's like out of nowhere. Really? Like, that's what the X-Men are dealing with? A fire? And now the X-Men have to deal with, the same team has to deal with a fire in this one too. Okay, I think I'm starting to understand a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And I'm starting to realize that maybe these books might actually be pretty impressive. Enoli, Blink, and Glob seem to remember some things. Now those evil little French kids, the twins, those evil little bastards, they're trying to mess with Blob this whole time as he's sitting there feeding his chickens. All right, he's in an agriculture class. Leave him alone. I think it's like his homework. Anybody ever used to have the little eggs that you had to keep, like the hard-boiled egg or whatever, that you had to keep for it's like, if this egg breaks, that's it. You're you broke your baby. Whatever, the home ec class. I don't know what the heck it was. I never had one of those, but you get the gist, right? Keep this egg, and then you pass the class because like, this is supposed to represent a baby. You got to be careful. It's fragile like an egg. What happens? They're messing with him, and they can't seem to read his mind, even though they can read everybody's mind. Interesting. He's obviously keeping secrets. The end of this, you realize something extra special about him. I don't usually like to spoil comic books, but I'll often make an exception for an issue number 1. So, spoiler on this one. What's really going to make you want to get the comic book, I think. I believe that he still has his Hellfire powers from when he was in Age of X proper. Because, Age of X-Man proper. Because he takes a candle and he lights his hand on fire. Hisako, Armor, she's seeing something. There's some behind the scenes Big Brother stuff. They're mind wiping people, young, not even X-Men, like students. You know, it's like you're doing too much. We got to mind wipe you now and things like that. And they're like Blob. Oh, geez, Blob. He's looking like the old White Rook from the Hellfire Club back in the days. White Bishop, excuse me. And oh man, like the whole thing just seems completely flustered. There's obviously an order to it, but right now we're only seeing the outskirts of it. But this, like I said, this book seems to explain a lot more than any of the other books combined have so far. And it's, I'm so curious about what the hell's going on at this point. No, I'm not getting all these things on freaking solid floppies, but I may wind up going trade paperback with these. I'm telling you, man, I'm hoping that the other books wind up living up to the expectation I'm getting now, because I am biased. This is Ed Brisson. I do like the work that he does. Again, the art inside this is impeccable, man. Blob actually looks good. And I saw a solicit, I can't remember for which book, that Blob was supposed to be dating one of the X-Men or something like that. It's like, Blob, ew. But then I see him here, I'm like, no, I can see it. I can see it. You know? All of it's going to be really interesting to see how it unfolds. But Blob's still having his Hellfire powers. If that's the case, these fires being a way of people trying to, I don't know, do something, call attention, something. I'm not sure what. Maybe it's actually they're actually being started by somebody within the deeper X-Men team, like a Black Ops X-Men team, an X-Force, if you would. You know, people collecting data and they just burn the whole thing down, and that's why the X-Men have to intervene. I don't know. But there's a mystery here. There's some conspiratorial thing happening. And I am really intrigued by what the hell they're doing here. So, again, it might just be that Brisson typically, almost always writes a freaking excellent book. And it might be giving a lot more credence to some of these other stories that are out there that just aren't up to par. But this issue was really good. This was like the one issue number 1 that I didn't buy. Damn it. Whatever. I'm going to keep it that way. I'm going to hope I don't regret it. But this was really good. I read this and suddenly have hope that Age of X-Man might actually wind up being up to par with a lot of the other incredible X-Men stories that have been out there before, like Schism and Age of Apocalypse and things like that. So, I'm not going to make any judgments. All right, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.